What's up everyone, and thank you for stopping by. Today's project is this Honda lawnmower that I got off the curb for free, and the problem is that the self-propel doesn't seem to be working anymore. Let's take a good look at it, find out what's wrong with it, and hopefully we can fix it. In this video, we try and repair this mower. However, it may not be the exact repair you need to make to yours. We'll explore other options later in the video. So in the last video on this mower, we were able to figure out that the engine was not as worn out as I had thought, and after redoing the compression test and getting a very high reading of over 160 psi, we were finally able to get it started and running. However, the self-propel was not working to turn the worn out wheels and tires. That's also something I addressed in the last video, which was trying to figure out what to do with these worn out tires, but we won't worry about that until we get the self-propel working again. Now, since we need to inspect the drive system and to make filming just a little bit easier, I'm going to flip the mower on its back. So I don't make a huge mess, I'm going to drain all the gasoline out of the tank as well as the oil out of the engine. I'm also going to remove the air filter just in case there's still some gasoline in the carb. I just don't want to get it soaked. So the mower is on its back now, and the first thing I want to check is whether or not the belt is broken. Now it's tough to see because there's a metal cover over the drive belt, but as you can see, the belt is still on the pulley on the transmission and the belt is still in one piece. The next thing I want to check is whether or not the belt is still on the pulley on the crankshaft side, and to do that I need to remove both blades and the blade stop assembly. Now if you don't have this feature on your mower, then it won't be in your way, so it should be pretty obvious if the belt is on or off the pulley. If you've seen some of my past videos, you'll know that I don't care for the blade stop system or the clutches, and that's because they just add another level of complication to a simple mower. Now the parts that can fail in the system are the cable, the friction disc, or either bearing, so I'd rather just keep it simple. The only time I like the system is when I used to bag the grass, but since I don't do that anymore, I really don't care for it. Once the last part has been taken off, we can now see the drive pulley. We can also see that the belt is off the pulley as well, and that's the reason why the self-propel isn't working. Now if we put the belt back on the pulley, the drive system should work again. There's just one problem. I've never seen a Honda mower where the belt accidentally came off the pulley by itself. There are belt guards on both pulleys to keep this from happening. I hate to say it, but I think the belt was taken off the pulley on purpose to keep the drive system from working. You'll see later on why I came to that conclusion. Once the belt is back on the pulley, I'll then reinstall the blade stop assembly, and while we're here, I want to inspect and service the transmission if it needs it. I don't normally do that to every transmission I come across, but in a previous video, I found that changing the fluid on this particular one was not that difficult to do. Besides, I would like this one to last a very long time, and I doubt that anybody has ever serviced it. Now the blades were in rough shape, but I want to mow with it first before I decide to replace them. I did sharpen the blades before reinstalling them though. I did inspect the bearings for the blade stop, and surprisingly they were still in decent shape. I'm not going to replace them just yet until they have an issue. Once the blade is back on, we'll then move on to the transmission. To inspect it, all we need to do is take off these 4 bolts and the plate should come off. And it's a good thing we checked because, to my surprise, there's hardly any oil in the case. I don't know how much oil is supposed to be in here, but I'm sure it's supposed to be more than this. If I had used the self-propel system with almost no oil in the case, I'm pretty sure we'd have a huge problem and we'd be looking to buy a brand new transmission. This one still looks to be in great shape, so I don't think it's been damaged. I'm just going to fill this up as much as I can and close up the transmission. The only problem is I'm not sure how long it took for the oil to disappear out of the case, so what I'm going to do is use the mower and then put it away, and then wait to see if I find any oil on the ground. If that happens, we'll have to find where the leak is coming from and fix it. Once the mower is back on all 4 wheels, we can now put some oil back into the engine and add a splash of gasoline in the tank so we can test out the self-propel. Now the oil isn't full, but it is in the middle of the hash marks, so there's enough oil to run the engine. If everything works out, I'll check the oil later on and add more till it's full. Well, the kill switch is a bit delayed, but we'll worry about that at a different time as it still works. The good news is that the self-propel seems to be working just like it should. In fact, if you don't mind tearing up your yard, the worn wheels actually have tremendous grip as they act more like paddles to grab the grass and the dirt. However, no one's going to buy a mower with the tires missing off the wheels, so that means we're going to have to do something about them. What I'm going to do is replace them with brand new ones. Now, they were only $40 online for a whole set, so they weren't cheap, but they could have been a whole lot more expensive. Now, in the future, I'm going to use what's left of the front tires as spares for another project, but before I replace the rear wheels, I'm going to remove the drive gears so we can lubricate the ratcheting system. Now, after spraying some brake cleaner where the key goes, I'm going to use some lithium grease to lubricate it. If you don't have lithium, use whatever you have available. Some lubrication is better than none. Then I'll carefully replace the key, the drive gear, spacer, and the retaining clip. After that, we can then install the new wheel. Once this side is done, I'll then move to the other side of the mower and do the same thing to the other rear wheel. Then we can move to replacing the front wheels, which are a whole lot easier to do. I could have just replaced the rear wheels and tires, but it was a much better deal to buy the complete set versus just half a set. Once the mower is back on the ground with its new wheels and tires, I'm going to try and use the mower and see if we can get the transmission to leak some oil again. Now, these new wheels aren't going to tear up the yard anymore, so I should be okay to mow with it after I get done filming. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but I did find some oil on the ground where I was storing the mower after I got done mowing. So I put the mower on its back again and tried to find where it was leaking from. And it looks like it's coming from this output shaft where all these fibers are wrapped around it. It looks as though the fibers are in the seal and acting as a bridge for the oil to escape. I'll just remove as much as I can and see if it stops leaking. So this is as much as I could get out of the seal, and there's quite a bit here. I'm not sure what these fibers are, but they might be the stuffing from a pillow or a lounge cushion. Now, I think the owner realized that the transmission was leaking, and to keep from destroying it, instead of fixing it, they just disabled it so they could fix it later on, which never happened. Now, after getting all those fibers out of the seal, it should stop leaking, but unfortunately the leak was still there, so now I have to figure out how I want to fix it. In the end, it appears the reason why this mower was given away was simply because it had too many problems to be fixed economically. The transmission was leaking and the rear wheels needed to be replaced. At a repair shop, I could imagine this being about a $300 bill, so that meant it was just time to be given away so someone like me could use it for parts. Now, if I could fix the leak and not replace the transmission, I think I can come out on top as far as costs and time I've spent on this repair. So my question is, should I try and fix the transmission or just leave it disabled to be used as a push mower? Now, if it's just a seal, it would only be $18 to fix, but if it's a new transmission, I can find one for about $80 to $115. Or is it just not worth it? And it'd be better to put that money towards a new mower and keep this one for parts. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions, and I hope to see you in the next video.